Hello again, folks, and welcome to another informational AI music tips and tricks podcast from Binary Beats. I'm your host, Jay Voorhees, here together with Sarah DeCristo, and today we're going to do a deep dive into releasing your music with DistroKid.
Thanks for that intro, Jay. Let's get to it.
Imagine this for a sec. You keep 100% of your royalties, like all of it, and your music. It gets out to, what, over 150 digital stores,
Right.
places like Spotify, Apple Music.
So places people actually listen, yeah.
Exactly. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, that's kind of the promise of DistroKid. And today, in this deep dive, we're really going to cut through the noise and get straight to the essentials for releasing music with them. We've got a really solid beginner's guide as our source here. And the goal, our mission, is to arm you. Maybe you're a musician thinking about your first release. Maybe you're just curious how indie artists get their stuff out there with the core knowledge. No overwhelm, just what matters.
And it really is about empowering artists, isn't it? Traditionally, distribution was this complex gate-kept thing.
Totally. Labels, deals.
Right. DistroKid, well, it basically bypasses a lot of that. It gives you a direct line to a global audience, and crucially, you keep control. Our source guide really maps out that pathway well.
Okay, let's dive right in then. The guide starts with what you need before starting. And honestly, getting this part right saves so much hassle later.
Oh, absolutely. Preparation is key.
So, first up, your finished music files. They're pretty flexible format-wise. WAV, MP3, MP3, FLAC, AIFF, WMA.
They take quite a range.
Yeah, but here's a little pro tip they highlight. WAV files, specifically 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz. That's like the industry standard, right?
That's the benchmark, yeah. CD quality, essentially. But it's interesting, DistroKid actually accepts higher quality, too.
Right, up to 24-bit, 96 kilohertz if you've got it.
Which is great. Starting with the best possible quality file is just smart. Think of it like a high-res photo. You can shrink it down, but you can't easily add detail that isn't there.
Good analogy. Give the platforms the best source to work from. Okay, next. Album artwork.
Ah, the visual hook.
Yep. Needs to be a square JPG. Minimum 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. But they really push for 3,000 by 3,000.
For sharpness on modern screens, presumably. Makes sense.
And this is crucial. No website URLs, no social media handles, none of that text on the actual artwork.
Keep it clean.
Exactly. The tip is, keep it simple. Artist name, release title, strong visuals. That's it. Let the art speak.
Your artwork is that first impression, often before anyone even hits play. The restrictions probably help keep things looking professional and focused across all the different stores.
Makes total sense. Okay, rounding out the prep checklist is the info you need, the admin stuff.
The nuts and bolts.
Your artist name, and they really stress this, pick it carefully and finalize it, the release title, obviously. Who wrote the songs?
Songwriter info, yeah. Very important for royalties later.
Genre, your release date. We'll talk more about timing later, how you want to get paid. And your tax information. Got to get that sorted.
And that artist name point, it's so critical. Changing it later is a nightmare.
Oh, yeah. Why is that?
Well, platform confusion, potentially splitting your catalog, confusing your listeners.
Yeah.
It just fragments everything. Settling on it early is foundational for building your brand.
Right. Okay. Good warning. So you've got all your ducks in a row. Music, art, info. What's next? Choosing your DistroKid plan.
Yep, the subscription tiers.
They've got three main ones. The basic is musician, that's like $24 a year, roughly, for one artist or band name.
$23.99, yeah.
Then there's Musician Plus, about $40 a year. That lets you upload for up to 2 artists, and this is key for some of their artists. Lets you set a custom release date.
And a custom label name, I think.
Right. And finally, the label plan. That jumps up to about $90 a year for 5 to 100 artists.
These tiers make sense, you know, they cater to different needs. A solo artist just starting out probably doesn't need the label plan.
Exactly what the guide suggests. For most new artists under one name, stick with the basic musician plan. It's usually enough.
Keep it simple, start there.
Consider Musician Plus only if you need that custom release date, maybe for coordinating with a PR push or a music video.
Or if you genuinely have 2 distinct artist projects, like a solo name and a band.
Right, and they basically say, don't bother with the label plan unless you're actually managing multiple other artists or need team features.
Very practical advice. Start lean, scale up if you need to, don't pay for features you won't use.
Totally. Now, beyond those main plans, there are some optional extras, add-ons you can bolt on.
Yeah, the little extras.
Like the Store Maximizer. Costs about $8 a year. Gets you into more sort of niche stores, though the main ones are already included.
Right. The big players like Spotify, Apple, Amazon are covered by the base plan. This is for the smaller, maybe genre-specific outlets.
And there's Leave a Legacy. That's a one-time fee, about $21. The idea is your music stays up even if your subscription lapses down the road.
Peace of mind, I suppose. If you start paying the annual fee, your music normally comes down. This prevents that.
And YouTube Content ID. That's like $5 a year per single, $15 per album. Helps you make money if people use your tracks in their YouTube videos.
That one can be really valuable, actually, especially if your music is instrumental or likely to be used by creators. It finds uses of your music and helps monetize them.
Good point. And lastly, Shazam and iPhone Siri recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Just $1 a year, so people can easily ID your track if they hear it playing somewhere.
Tiny fee for discoverability. Seems worth it for most people. These add-ons show DistroKid trying to offer more than just basic distribution, sort of value-added services.
Right. You pick and choose what makes sense for you. Okay, let's circle back to the actual stuff you're uploading, audio and artwork, but let's get a bit more granular.
Quality control time.
Yeah. Audio formats, we mentioned WAV, FLAC, etc. But the ideal specs, they hammer home. WAV, 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz.
Or higher, up to 24-bit, 96 kilohertz if you have it.
And file size.
Yeah.
Up to 1 gigabyte per track, which is massive. No time limits on tracks either.
Pretty generous limits.
But this is huge. Proper mastering. The guide suggests aiming for around NANAGA 14 LUFS.
The loudness target. LUFS, loudness units, full scale. It's the standard for perceived loudness on streaming platforms.
Why is that number important?
Because platforms like Spotify normalize audio. They adjust the volume of tracks to be roughly consistent. If your track is way louder than their target, say NANAGA 14 LUFS, they'll just turn it down.
So you don't gain anything by making it super loud.
Worse than that, you might lose dynamics. If you've squashed your track with heavy limiting to make it loud and then they turn it down, it can just sound, well, less impactful compared to a more dynamic track mastered closer to the target.
Gotcha. So a common mistake they flag is uploading poorly mastered or just excessively loud tracks. You're fighting the system and potentially hurting your sound.
Exactly. Work with the platform specs. A clean, well-mastered track around NANAGA 14 LUFS generally translates best everywhere.
Okay, artwork again. Quick recap. JPG, square, minimum 1,000 by 1,000, but aim for 3,000 by 3,000.
High res is good. Looks sharp.
And the big NOs. No URLs, no .com, no social media handles, no available now text.
And definitely no marking it explicit if the music isn't explicit. Keep the artwork clean unless the content warrants it.
Right. And the common artwork trap.
Yeah.
Using copyrighted images you don't own the rights to.
Oh, major issue. That'll get rejected fast and could cause legal trouble later.
Or adding that forbidden promo text. Just stick to the rules. Artist name, title, image.
It ensures a consistent professional look across the platforms. They have guidelines for a reason.
And one final point on audio quality. The guide strongly recommends uploading in a lossless format.
WAV or FLAC, ideally.
Why not just upload an MP3 if that's what people stream anyway?
Because you want to give the services the highest quality source. They will create their own compressed versions, like MP3 or AAC, from your master file. If you give them an already compressed MP3, they're compressing it again.
Oh, loss upon loss degrades the quality.
Exactly. Start lossless, WAV FLAC, for the best possible sound quality downstream. They even mention Apple Digital Masters, which requires a 24-bit master file for potential certification.
So bottom line, high-quality WAV or FLAC for audio, high-res clean JPG for artwork. Got it. Now, the actual upload process, 13 steps. Sounds like a lot.
It's sequential, though. Pretty logical once you start.
Okay, step 1. Log in, click Upload Music. Easy enough. Step 2. Select services. Most people click all, right?
Generally, yeah. Maximize reach. But they do note Beatport is separate.
Right. Crucial for electronic music producers. Got to tick that box specifically if you want to be on Beatport.
And potentially involves extra fees or requirements worth checking.
Okay. Step 3. Single or multiple tracks, like an album or EP. Step 4, artist and release info. Here it is again. Double check that artist name.
Cannot stress that enough. Typos here are painful later.
Step 5, release date and label. If you're on the basic plan, the date is usually as soon as possible. If you have plus or label, you can set it for the future.
And the recommendation is?
Plan ahead.
Yeah.
Set it 3 to 4 weeks out. Gives buffer time and time for promotion. We'll talk more on timelines soon.
Good advice.
Step 6, genre and subgenre. Important for categorization. Again, need to select electronic if aiming for Beatport. Step 7, upload that beautiful compliant artwork.
The JPG file we discussed.
Step 8, Song details and upload audio. This is where you list track titles, upload the WebEvo FLXC files. Also featuring artists.
Yeah. If someone is just featured, you can usually add them in the title, but if they're a main collaborator, like a joint release, you might need the Musician Plus plan for multiple primary artists.
Good distinction. Step 9. Preview clip start time. This is surprisingly critical, right?
Hugely important, especially for TikTok and Instagram Reels. Don't start it at the beginning if you have a long, slow intro.
No. Pick the hook, the chorus, the bit that grabs you instantly. Make it count.
Your 15-second audition, basically.
Step 10. Songwriter info. Full legal names. This is for the publishing side of things, making sure writers get paid.
Crucial for royalty tracking. Use real names, not stage names here.
Step 11. Mark explicit content. Yes or no. Remember, one explicit track usually marks the whole album.
Be accurate here. Don't mark clean tracks as explicit or vice versa.
Step 12. Another chance to add optional services, like that YouTube Content ID or leave a legacy.
Good time to reconsider those. Now you're almost done.
And finally, step 13. Review everything carefully. Check all the spelling, the files, the settings, then hit submit.
Take that extra minute to proofread. Seriously.
So, common mistakes to avoid, just to recap: typos, wrong genre, especially for Beatport, bad preview clip, low-res or rule-breaking artwork, and mislabeling cover songs that need specific handling.
It seems like attention to detail is a recurring theme here. Get the details right up front.
Absolutely. Okay, you hit submit, relief, but what happens next? The timeline.
Yeah, it's not instant. There's a process.
The guide breaks it down. First, DistroKid reviews it. That's pending status. Takes about, 1 to 3 business days?
Usually, yeah. Sometimes faster, sometimes a bit longer if they're busy.
Then approval and processing. Another 1 to 3 days. That's when you see the green dot, good to go.
Means DistroKid has processed it and sent it off to the stores?
Right, but then the stores have their own timelines. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, pretty quick, maybe hours.
They seem to ingest faster.
Apple Music, usually 1-2 days. Spotify can be 2 to 5 days, and others might take up to a week.
So there's this staggered rollout across platforms.
Exactly, and if it's your very first release, add maybe another day or 2, because the platforms need to create your artist profile from scratch.
Makes sense. Building the initial infrastructure.
Also, cover songs. Big delay potential there, like 7 to 14 extra days for the licensing to clear.
Because DistroKid has to secure the mechanical license for you. That takes time.
So, the big takeaway on timing: plan for 3 to 4 weeks, lead time minimum.
Definitely. Build in that buffer for review, processing, store delivery, potential hiccups.
And crucially, for your marketing, you need that window to build buzz before it goes live.
Which leads to the common mistake, promoting too early.
Yeah. Don't send fans to a Spotify link that says coming soon for 2 weeks, or worse, doesn't work yet. Wait till it's actually live, or at least use pre-save links properly.
Coordinate your promotion with the actual availability. Much more effective.
Okay, let's talk money, payments, royalties, the thing everyone wants to understand.
Understandably so.
The journey from stream to bank account. It's got a few steps and takes a while.
It's not instantaneous, that's for sure.
First, people stream or buy your music. Revenue gets generated. Then, the stores report that revenue to DistroKid. How long does that take?
Usually 1 to 2 months after the month the stream happened. So January streams might get reported in March or April.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Lag time there. Then DistroKid processes all that data from all the stores. Another 2 to 3 weeks, roughly.
Yeah, they have to compile and allocate everything correctly.
Once that's done, the earnings appear in your DistroKid bank.
Yeah.
Then you have to request a withdrawal. Minimum payout is low, like $7.
I believe so, yeah. Pretty accessible threshold.
And then the actual payment processing, sending it to your PayPal or bank, takes another 1 to 14 business days, depending on the method.
So all told,
You're looking at maybe 2 to 3 months, typically, from when someone streams your song to when you could actually withdraw that fraction of a cent.
it highlights the delay inherent in the global digital royalty system. It's complex.
How do you get the money out? Payment methods.
DistroKid offers several. PayPal is often the fastest. Direct deposit, ACH for U.S. artists, wire transfer for international, though that might have higher fees, and physical checks, but that's the slowest.
Direct deposit sounds like the way to go if you're in the U.S.
Generally, yeah. Efficient and usually free.
Now, the $1 million question,
Yeah.
or maybe the fraction of a cent question, royalty rates. What does the guide say? Keeping in mind these are averages.
Big caveat there. Average is very variable,
Hmm.
but Spotify tends to be around 0.0003 to 0.0005 per stream, 0.3 of a cent to half a cent.
Okay, Apple Music.
Generally higher, maybe 0.0007 to lever 1 cents per stream, so closer to a cent.
It's Amazon Music.
Around 0.0004 cents maybe? Similar to Spotify sometimes.
YouTube Music.
Usually lower, like 0.0001s per stream. 1/10 of a cent territory.
And Tidal.
Often cited as being on the higher end, maybe around 0.001 cents per stream. But again, these depend hugely on the listener's country. Their subscription-type premium pays more than free, and DistroKid's specific deals. Don't bank on these exact numbers.
Use them as a rough ballpark estimate only. Okay, now, this seems really, really important. The guide makes a critical distinction about what royalties DistroKid handles.
Yes, this is fundamental. DistroKid primarily collects and pays you royalties from the master recording the actual audio file being streamed or downloaded.
Okay, so the sound recording royalties, what doesn't it handle automatically?
Publishing royalties. These are royalties owed for the use of the underlying song, the composition, the lyrics, the melody.
Two different rights, two different royalty streams from the same song.
Exactly. And collecting publishing royalties requires separate steps. You need to be affiliated with a performing rights organization, a PRO.
Like ASCAP, BMI, CSAC in the US, or SOCAN in Canada, PRS in the UK.
Precisely. They collect performance royalties when your song is played on radio, TV, live venues, and even some types of streams.
And what about mechanical royalties? From sales or streams acting like sales?
For those, especially internationally, you often need a publishing administrator. The guide mentions Songtrust as an example. They help register your songs globally and collect mechanicals that PROs don't handle.
So if you only use DistroKid and don't register with a PRO or a publishing admin,
You are almost certainly leaving money on the table, potentially significant amounts, especially if your music gets played a lot or used in different ways. DistroKid gets your recording out there, but you need these other pieces in place to collect all the money your music generates.
wow. Okay, that's a huge takeaway. Don't just rely on DistroKid for everything related to payment.
It's a distributor, a great one, but it's not your publisher or your PRO. You need to build that full picture yourself.
Right. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We've covered a lot in this deep dive based on this beginner's guide to DistroKid. Key takeaways.
Preparation, preparation, preparation. Get your audio files right, high-quality WAV or FLIC. Get your artwork right, high-res, compliant JPG. Get your info right, especially that artist name and songwriter details.
Choose the plan that fits now. Don't overspend. Understand the upload steps and be meticulous. Check everything. That preview clip matters.
Plan your release timeline. Give yourself that 3-4 week window. Don't rush it. Allow time for promotion.
And understand the money. Know the payment timeline is delayed. Know the difference between distribution royalties, what DistroKid pays, and publishing royalties, which you need PROs and maybe a pub admin for.
It really shows that while DistroKid makes distribution accessible, being an independent artist still requires you to be informed, proactive, and basically run your own little music business.
Yeah, it empowers you, but the responsibility is still yours, which is exciting, right? Getting your music out there is achievable.
Absolutely. It's an amazing time for creators in that sense.
So if this has piqued your interest, definitely check out DistroKid's website for the latest info, plans, all that. And seriously, look into PRO registration, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, whichever fits your situation.
Don't skip that step.
All right, final thought to leave you with, the listener. Now that you've got this roadmap, you understand the nuts and bolts a bit better. What's that first track you're going to unleash on the world?
And maybe thinking beyond just getting it out there. How does understanding this whole revenue picture, the different streams, actually empower you to think differently about your creative career? Something to chew on.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We really enjoyed exploring the subject with you all, and I've actually learned quite a few new things myself. So we bid you farewell for now. Anything you want to say, Sarah?
Thanks, Jay. And I just want to say thanks to our wonderful people out there in our audience listening. You keep us going. See you next time here on Binary Beats.